Brazilian UFC fighter Amanda Ribas only weighs 115 pounds and fights in the strawweight category, but don't let her tiny frame fool you because she is one tough cookie. She's fearless and will throw down against any opponent she's presented with. And as it turns out, Ribas comes from a peculiar little town, so stay tuned and don't go away because we're talking about E.T., flying cows, and the peculiar UFO tales of Amanda Ribas' hometown, Varginha. First up, did we really just say E.T., flying cows, and UFO tales? You bet you heard correctly. Amanda Ribas is the most popular UFC fighter from Varginha, Brazil. However, she's not what the town is best known for. Ribas was born in Varginha in the state of Minas Gerais, Brazil, and still resides there. To this day, the city of Varginha keeps a statue of an extraterrestrial in the town square. Even the town's water tower is shaped like a flying saucer. Many residents believe that an extraterrestrial creature visited the area in the 1990s. As a result, the alleged sighting turned Varginha into a UFO hotspot for years to come. It all started on January 13, 1996, after several residents reported seeing a UFO over farms around the town. A local couple said it looked like a gray bus, but it was quiet and had no lights. The craft apparently flew over the couple's farm for nearly an hour. A man driving along a freeway allegedly saw the same flying object fall from the sky around the same time. The driver then drove in the direction of the craft to help what he believed were victims of a plane crash. The man claims that police officers and the Brazilian army stopped him from getting close to the craft and cautioned him to forget about what he had seen. Next up, what happened to Katja Xavier? Let's take a look. On January 20th, 1996, 1 week after the initial sighting of a UFO over the town of Varginha, a pregnant woman named Katja Xavier was walking home with her teenage friends, Lelaine Silva and Valkyria Silva, when they allegedly saw a strange creature unlike anything they had ever seen before. According to their testimony, the creature was brown, fairly stocky, with two red oval-shaped eyes. The girls told members of the media that they immediately ran and feared for their lives. A local man reported that firemen arrived and took what he called that weird animal away. 10 years after the incident, Katja spoke with reporters and said there's no way it was human or any other animal. And if you thought things couldn't get any weirder, they did. In the months after the ominous sighting of the creature, Varginha's local zoo claimed it was struck with several bizarre animal deaths, and veterinarians at the zoo were unable to discover the mysterious cause of the deaths. According to zoo workers, deers, tapirs, and ocelots died as a result of an unidentified toxic caustic substance. Local police authorities and the Brazilian army have yet to confirm any of the claims made by the residents. Another incident happened in Varginha 7 months after the 10-year anniversary of the alleged UFO sighting. A woman was getting her breakfast ready when a cow blasted through the roof and fell inside the kitchen. Local residents believe that extraterrestrials were trying to transport a cow in a spaceship. Ribas laughed and said, "People say a ship was trying to catch the cow." Up next, what does Amanda Ribas think about these bizarre claims? Let's find out. While Ribas does most of her training at Florida's American Top Team, she prefers to stay in Varginha and works at her family gym. When the incidents allegedly happened, Ribas was only 3 years old, but she has her own theories about what took place. When asked about the strange incidents, Ribas said, "My grandmother says she saw the creature walking down a hill and tried to feed it. She saw it in the woods and even fed it. There were studies made in this forest too. My father doesn't believe it. He thinks it was an unemployed reporter that saw a weird animal around the same time that movie E.T. came out and said there was an E.T. He scared some girls in the street and police were called and everybody showed up." There are some theories, right? Steven Spielberg's classic sci-fi film E.T. was released 14 years before the incidents in Varginha, and then came the first installment of the frightening sci-fi saga Aliens in 1986, directed by James Cameron. Ribas added, "I don't think we're alone in the universe, and why not land here in Varginha, right? I believe it'd be selfish of us to think we're alone in the universe. I never had any proof, I've never seen it, but it's not like I believe or disbelieve." Ribas laughed and said, "Who knows? Maybe I say I don't believe and something pulls my feet at night. I don't know, a green light pops up at my window. There are a lot of trees in front of my house, and I sleep with the window open. It's all dark, just two green eyes looking at me." Stay tuned and don't go away, because we're bringing you down from outer space and inside the octagon with the latest UFC fight news. Be sure to watch until the end, because we're going to talk about one of the most highly anticipated heavyweight fights of 2022. Next up, what's going on with the UFC and heavyweight champ Francis Ngannou? You're about to find out. The UFC's heavyweight champ Francis the Predator Ngannou is refusing to fight again under the terms of his existing contract if he keeps his belt against Cyril Gane on January 22nd. The fight with Gane will complete Ngannou's Ngannou's 8-fight deal at UFC 270. Ngannou, a so-called knockout artist, said UFC contracts add 3 fights or 1 year to any reigning champion's deal when it first expires. But I will sit out until I become a free agent. I will not fight for $500,000 or $600,000 anymore. It's over. I took this fight for personal reasons and because I want to make sure that regardless of whether it's unfair, whether I have been wrongly treated, I can make my case of saying I have completed the 8 fights. Ngannou, the UFC, and its president Dana White have been at odds for months due to poor contract negotiations. Ngannou, now 35 years old, became one of the top stars in the UFC back in March of 2021 when he knocked out Stipe Miocic and won the heavyweight title. Ngannou will defend his belt for the first time against Gane in the upcoming main event at UFC 270. Ngannou is standing firm and insists that any new contract he signs must allow him to compete in boxing while he continues his career inside the octagon. Up next, has the UFC seen the last of Ronda Rousey? Maybe not. Rousey retired from MMA after suffering 2 consecutive knockout losses. However, Juliana Pena is calling out Rousey in an attempt to lure her out of retirement. Now, the question on everyone's mind is, will Rousey take the bait or leave it? Pena won the bantamweight title when she submitted 2-weight champion Amanda Nunes at UFC 269, and the fight was Pena's first ever shot at a major UFC title. Many consider Nunes to be the GOAT or greatest of all time in her division, and it was her first defeat in more than 7 years. Pena admits she didn't get along with Rousey, and it's clear that the two don't like each other. On season 18 of The Ultimate Fighter back in 2013, Pena, known as the Venezuelan Vixen, was on Rousey's rival Miesha Tate's team and was awarded a UFC contract after winning the competition. One day after she won The Ultimate Fighter, Pena said that Rousey vowed to kick her A. Pena spoke of Rousey with media and said, "We're not friends. We don't speak. She really had a tough time getting along with me on The Ultimate Fighter. She didn't like me at all because I was friends with Miesha Tate. She wasn't the nicest." So what do you think? Will Rousey step back into the octagon, or will she stick to feeding chickens and milking cows on her ranch in Riverside, California? Finally, as promised, we're going to talk about one of the most highly anticipated heavyweight fights of 2022. UFC fight fans can barely contain their excitement ever since news broke out that American UFC fighter Derek the Black Beast Lewis and Australian UFC fighter Tai Bam Bam Tuivasa would be stepping into the octagon at UFC 271 in February. When these two chubby heavyweights step into the cage, you know someone is getting knocked out. It's not a question of if, but when. Betting odds are predicting a win for the Black Beast, and despite Vegas frequently getting their odds wrong, I think they're right about this one. Despite being a really kind and funny guy, Derek Lewis is a dangerous man. That said, Tai Tuivasa's nickname Bam Bam didn't just come out of thin air. He's earned it after several amazing performances inside the cage and is ranked number 11 in the men's heavyweight division. So there's no question that Bam Bam is going to walk into the octagon and do what he does best, and that's bang. This is going to be an incredible fight, but the odds are slim that it'll go the distance and an early finish is likely. That's a wrap for today's video, fight fans. Thanks for watching until the end.